Greetings to you everyone who is watching us. My name is Dr. Anne Abaho. I am making this presentation to you with my colleague, Mr. Francis Sengendo. Our topic is blended distance learning, approaches to teaching, learning, and assessment. We particularly want to bring it to the context of Nkumba University, especially at a period when the government has insisted on competence-based learning. And so how do we use blended learning in order for us to meet the needs of our students and also fit into the expectations of the supervisors in the education field? Let's begin by understanding what blended learning is. Blended learning is just a tool of teaching, of assessment, in which both the learners and the teachers use alternative means of accessing knowledge, of accessing materials, compared to the traditional style of classroom setting, where learners would sit in class or are expected to sit in class, have notes dictated to them, and within after 1, 2, 3 hours, they are at liberty to leave. But blended learning allows the educator and those who are being educated to take advantage of technological devices, technological tools such as WhatsApp, what is it called? Zoom, the ones that we use from the Google Link, in order for you to create, in order for you to communicate, to collaborate, and raise critical thinking skills as you construct knowledge in a world that is increasingly shifting from the usual teaching style. Blended learning, therefore, has a combination of physical learning, face-to-face interaction, and also the digital tools. You can also call it the hybrid learning. Hybrid learning meaning that it gives you an opportunity to exploit educational materials from the internet, those that are physical, inform newspapers, opinions from different writers as you enlarge your world of understanding. I want to use an example of a flipped classroom as we illustrate this blended learning. Flipped classroom basically meaning that, to flip is to change. So we change the nature of the classroom. And we are saying that with this kind of blended learning, a teacher, for instance, can give you a video to go and watch before you come to class. And this video is intended to trigger your thinking, is intended to trigger your problem-solving skills, is intended for you to identify the main themes in the video, which will be subject of discussion as you now come to class. Now, let's understand again blended learning from the angle of sets. Let's use the analogy of sets. Just as you have set A and set B. So in set A, we have the traditional classroom setting, and in set B, we have the online teaching tools. But blended learning sits in the intersection. So blended learning fits into the physical classroom setting and also the online digital tools kind of setting. Why do we talk about this blended learning at this time? Because blended learning allows you, the student and the teacher, to continuously be involved in research, to understand the subject, to create knowledge for yourself. And for the teachers especially, it pushes you to read even much harder than the student, meaning that you will be teaching based on research. So it widens the degree of understanding. It combines visual and auditory opportunities for you to be able to listen and also to hear. So different from the traditional classroom setting, yes, in the traditional classroom setting, you have this peer-to-peer, student to teacher relationship. You have counseling coming from the teacher. But in the blended mode, you can meet this teacher for 1, 2, 3 weeks, and then you also enhance your understanding using what Google has given you, what the different research tanks have given you, and so you are able to build on your levels of understanding. So in the blended learning style, you study on your own. You can study while you're in a taxi, while you're having your breakfast. You can sort of track your levels of understanding. And yes, we use different modes of assessment, including online tools and also written tests. What are the advantages? Like I just mentioned, blended learning is flexible and is accessible. So wherever you are, you don't have to physically appear on ground for you to be able to study. No, these materials can be shared to you in the different online tools. They can be sent to you in email, they can be WhatsApped to you, they can be sent as attachments in all sorts of forms. So it's very flexible and allows you to study from wherever you are. It is very cost efficient. You know, you avoid the cost of transport to and from. You just need to have your data and then you're ready to engage in learning. Of course, there is a higher engagement rate meaning that when a question comes to you as a learner, you're able to go online, research about this question. You can look at the quizzes which are online. You can look at the videos which are online, see how different educators, how different students answer this question. So you can now contextualize it in your own understanding and be able to widen even the knowledge that you have. We understand, of course, that there are challenges with this blended form of learning. We appreciate the internet fluctuations, for instance. We know that very many of you are in different areas where connectivity might be a problem. We understand that one. We also appreciate that some of you may, by your nature, not be very friends with technology. We appreciate that one as well. And we know that if you are not self-motivated, the chances of you withdrawing from the class are very high. Now, bearing in mind these challenges, we urge you as the learner to be very highly interested in it, appreciate it because it allows you to, reach a point of self-realization. You're able to work around, you're able to be interrogative, you're able to develop critical analysis skills, and of course, you're able to access more online sources. So yes, challenging as it is very beneficial to you. Why are we emphasizing this blended form of learning? As we move into the competence-based form of learning, which is being emphasized globally, friends, we can't move back. We need to create a population that is able to evaluate, a population that is analytical, a population that can apply the skills that have been learned to real-world problems. We need a population that is understanding and one that is not doing simple cram work, but is able to remember, and as they remember, they apply this. Now, our shift to blended form of learning is based on the Bloom emphasis in teaching, which speaks about the cognitive. We want to trigger the knowledge and your levels of understanding. He speaks about the psychomotor, which is about skills. The skills, some of these skills may not be visible, but for instance, research skills are very critical as you move into the world of work, definitely. And also they are effective. We want to alter your attitudes from the other ancient traditional, purely traditional form of learning to accepting the new mode of teaching that is coming on board across the world. So how does blended learning relate to competence-based learning? Now, blended learning, as you may have now realized, is simply a delivery method. It is a style of teaching that combines both the historical ways of teaching, the classroom setting, and also the online tools. But competence-based learning is a philosophy, it's a belief, it's an idea that as you teach, you must be developing competencies. So competence-based learning focuses on mastering specific aspects, competencies, and not just sitting in class. So you can have analytical competencies, critical thinking, problem solving, which may not be visible as you walk, but you have gained them because you are able to access different forms of knowledge, different forms of writings. But the two combine, blended learning, when we combine them, we get blended learning. The them that I'm talking about is when we combine the classroom setting and the online teaching, we get the blended learning. Blended learning takes advantage of both the online and the physical tools. The two relate, blended learning and competence-based learning relate because of the flexibility that they give you as an individual and how they align to the learning needs of the student, which are very critical in competence-based learning. In terms of assessment, we focus more on the knowledge, skills, and attitudes, which we already mentioned. And as we assess, we want to bring out, for instance, how interactive was this student? Is this student able to use the digital tools to make a presentation, for instance? We aim at performance-based kind of learning. Are you able to make a presentation successfully? There are so many of you who hate being part of presentations. Are you able to personalize learning, to relate the real world problems to your own experiences? And of course, we want to see how you were able to use both virtual and audio tools for you to learn. So how do you demonstrate to us as a student that you actually learned? It is possible that your lecturer can decide to give you a quiz. The quiz can be in written form or even in online form. It can also be between you and the lecturer. We can have simulation exercises. We can ask you to make presentations instead of sitting in class to write a 3-hour paper. We can ask you to pick a case scenario and localize it so that we appreciate whether you are able to take what is local to the global. In terms of assessment, we aim more at performance-based learning. Performance-based learning where we want you to take part in practical tasks. We want to see how you can apply the knowledge that you have acquired, both theory and practical, into real-life scenarios. How do you link it to problem solving? How do you analyze? How do you evaluate? And that, for us, allows us to kind of shift from the traditional, again, form of assessment, which was summative, where we simply look at what you learned, not whether you actually can apply what you learned to where we are today. So let's contextualize it in the sense of Nkumba University. Blended learning does not differ so much from Nkumba University's 4 C's. The 4 C's of Nkumba University are creativity, critical thinking, and the others that you know. But in this case, we are going beyond creativity and critical thinking. We are bringing in collaboration and communication, and we want our students to be able to communicate, our students to be able to collaborate, our students to be able to apply those essential knowledge abilities to change mindset, especially in an era where digital learning has become the everyday discussion. In our assessment as teachers, we aim at being reliable, flexible, and also fair. Fairness is based on the challenges that we spoke about earlier that relate to having blended learning with internet fluctuations and whatnot. So one of the ways we can assess is how we can assess you is by doing an open book or take home. Now, we have a tendency to think that take home or open book is a simpler version of an exam. No. Remember where we have come from. We expect you to research, we expect you to access as much written material, videos, and whatnot. So the open book and or take home is not per se a simple exam. The two are different, although they are very interlinked. The open book simply means that you can sit in a classroom setting. We allow you to access certain materials as you do your exam. The take home, as the word is, expects you to walk home with your exam, write it, return it. The take home gives you much more time, which means much more research than the open book. But in the Nkumba University context, we are getting the open book and combining it with the take home exam. So the nature of questions that we can give you is, for instance, questions which are focusing on real world issues so that you can go and access as much as possible the knowledge out there. So when we are giving you these questions, we look at how do you apply critical thinking, those analytical skills, those evaluative skills to the question that has been given to you. Therefore, you have to be mindful of how do you access this exam, bearing in mind the issue of time. What are the instructions that have been given? Are you expected to have, for instance, a list of references? Are you expected to do citations within the work? How much time is allocated to you? And what are the submission ways? So those are critical aspects that you should bear in mind as you access this open book exam. I want to thank you and hope that we prepare ourselves for a take-home exam in order for us to improve our learning for a better future. I thank you and wish you the best. Thank you.